so lonely. If you leave me, let me down slowly. Let me down.
Men of Reddit, what are some things a mom should know while raising a boy? If you and his father are not together and or you have negative feelings towards his father, don't tell him all the time how much he reminds you of his father.
Also, don't complain about the other parent in front of him. Not a gender issue, but seriously, that can really beep with a kid, especially if both parents are still in the picture. Unless the parent is a real scum beep that is to the point the kid shouldn't be seeing them anymore, then remember they love both of you, and if there's anything that'll cut a kid up, it's feeling like they have to choose between parents. Also, chances are when he's older he's likely to just choose neither of you and you'll wonder why he's so distant.
Don't tease your sons about any female friends. It usually leads to issues with them being unable to talk to you about things when they actually do like someone.
This is one of the most important pieces of advice out there. My mom thinks every female friend I've ever had is a crush, when that's simply not the case. As such, I can't talk to her about female friends anymore.
Remember going on a camping trip with several friends, both boys and girls. I had my camping gear at my front door and was getting a couple last-minute things. Friends show up, one of the girls just starts loading my stuff in the car. My grandmother says to me she's cute, why don't you date her? Ugh, she's a friend. B, she'd never date me, see we don't have a lot in common, etc etc etc.
Yeah, I remember.
Keep your promises. Especially the small ones that are easy to let slip. And when you break or slip up on one, directly acknowledge it with them and apologize while trying to make amends. Even especially, really, if they don't remember. Raising a child that keeps their word is 100 modeling, not lecture. You have to show them how to build those skills by demonstrating them daily, while reinforcing that with direct explanation of what you're doing or thinking in relevant contexts. Simply put, don't hold them or yourself to a standard of perfection or pure honesty. Expect accountability and integrity, even in failure or mistakes. It's just as important how we handle when we fail through our own mistakes as trying to avoid making them. These apply to children in general. Please explain why things are being done, like why you're going to run errands, why he has to do the dishes, why he shouldn't eat all that sugar. It's very frustrating not to know. It's also important that you reward the good things he does, and punish the bad through deprivation of reward. You should also praise work ethic over talent, as that's the biggest predictor of success. Edit. I don't mean a physical reward necessarily. Praise is often a good enough reward for anyone.
Kids are curious. Kids need to learn all this anyway to live as a remotely successful adult. Because I said so. Do I look like Google? Those are replies do not say to your kid.
Encourage them to be adventurous, to take smart risks, and how to negotiate. Was raised by a very overprotective mother. I learned none of these things till middle age.
I've been letting opportunities pass me by ever since I was a kid.
Hey kid, get in my van and I'll give you some candy.
No, my mom says I shouldn't.
Hey kid, get in my van and I'll give you some candy.
Okay.
I'm a 34-year-old female and was also raised this way. So I'm prepared for real life.
Don't use your kid as a shield when mommy and daddy are arguing.
This beeped up my little brother. It grew on me and I just got numb to it, but as soon as he starts crying and blaming himself, I know it's time to tell them to stop their beep.
I'm a girl and my parents used me as the shield sometimes, either in the argument itself or physically. Now I have issues keeping face when people yell at me or when my son gets frustrated and starts to argue with me. I just shut down.
Mother knows best. Has some weight as a phrase, but should never be law in your relationship with you, son. It's infuriating when trying to defend yourself or what you want, while knowing the entire time you'll get dismissed entirely. Of course you should have authority over your son, but ensure you do so respectfully. Listen to what they have to say and reflect upon what is being said. Don't take those moments your son may argue with you as time to catch your breath in between berating him. That and when he may be looking for jobs, unless you live in a small town, or the place of work has a sign regarding hiring. Everywhere there's job applications online. Sending him around to every shop with a CV or resume will just be a waste of paper and time. A certain generation is under the impression that it'll show you're determined and may get you a call, where the reality is closer to his parents clearly told him to do this. Yeah, sorry, all our job stuff is online.
Quote, sending him around to every shop with a CV/resume will just be a waste of paper and time. My mom always says this. I'm looking for a job currently. Then some days ago I asked her, how many times did you go around with copies of your CV to distribute? 0 beeping 0. I just changed topic after that. Edit, on a funny note, I have an interview tomorrow morning because a friend of my mom suggested my name to a guy. Because that's life. Edit, I figure I should give some more details to why going around my hometown doesn't necessarily work. It's small and my father owes money to half of population. And he scammed the other half. So question 2 of every interview is, are you his son? 'Cause he owes me random sum. Now this wouldn't be a problem if my brother wasn't pretty much a moron too. So my family name is Mudded. This doesn't make it impossible, just a little fickly. And yes, in first world countries in some places the family name is still a big thing.
I've realized that the parents who do this have either never done it themselves and got jobs from knowing people, or haven't had to go and ask about a job position since the 00s at least.
It's good to be involved, but don't be overbearing. The most stressed out and repressed guys I knew growing up were always the ones whose mothers controlled every aspect of their lives. Also, have trust and tell him you love him.
My mom always knew best. Even as an adult I usually gave in because she never wanted to hear otherwise, and I didn't want to fight. I continued this tendency into my first serious relationship, where my girlfriend was quite dominant. I'm in therapy.
Oh, my biggest move too. Actually, it's a lot easier to control a lot of people if you do this. They want to convince you about things. This is bad for you. That would be better if, even if you don't ask for any opinion at all. When I was a kid, I usually just leave it to her, even concur, so my mom also dropped the topic. Then did straight up what I was going to anyway and she never knew. It was just easier than trying to convince her for hours or days, and only after then realizing no matter what you say, you will always be in the wrong.
Actually knock and wait. They might not be masturbating, but they still like their privacy. Otherwise they lock their door so you can't get in. They close themselves into a mental cage because you thought IT was a great idea to just barge into little Timmy's room when he specifically stated that he doesn't like IT when you do that.
My parents got mad at me if my door was ever closed. I really like being alone. It was horrible.
Only my father ever got on my beep about it. He really didn't like closed doors. He even took the lock off the door when I was in high school for reasons, I guess. I resorted to sticking a battery in where the lock used to be because his larger fingers couldn't get it out. It wasn't the greatest situation, but it worked. Even living alone, I'll still lock the door to the bedroom. I really like my privacy.
My family switched the lock to the other side in my sister's room. But yeah, I think we all like privacy. I had none. My phones had tracking stuff in them, my car had one on it, they had cameras set up outside everywhere. Okay for security, but I had nowhere to go and be alone. My door was only allowed to be open, and never locked. They snooped through my phone and destroyed a relationship. It was really bad. I haven't talked to them the same after the snooping beep.
Quote, my family switched the lock to the other side in my sister's room. Yeah, I'm a fire marshal. This comment right here.
Teach him to cook. My post-college roommate had his mom cook all of his meals. It was embarrassing to watch him try to operate the kitchen when he decided he wanted to make something of his own.
Quote, teach him to cook. But only if you yourself do, in fact, know how to cook.
If you are arguing and he retreats to his own room or outside, don't follow along continuing the argument. Young people have a hard time expressing themselves and may need time to process their thoughts. Men are too often given the impression that they are only allowed specific responses, and unfortunately one of them is anger. As a teenager, I couldn't get away from my parents when we argued, and I ended up feeling trapped.
I've suffered a panic attack when my mom flew off the handles the last time. Was kicked out in my underwear in 10. Got to go back in half an hour later completely frozen and just curled up in a corner and cried. She came up to me, took photos of me, and then ridiculed me for not being a man and blamed me for destroying her life. Soon. 1 year. Then I'll be gone. Forever.
That's absolutely beeping cruelty. You should report them. Beeps.
Agreed. That's super abusive and worth getting CPS involved.
Make sure he knows girls are also people just like him, so he doesn't be all awkward around them thinking they are some higher being. Figured that out myself after elementary school, and now I can talk to anyone with ease.
Also, don't teach them that they have to have a BF or GF or be interested in someone. Every time I mention one of my male friends or hang out with them, my mom and sisters all do the "do you like him? Are you dating?" thing. It's the worst. You don't have to have a crush, and even if you do, it's not anyone else's business whether you do or don't, and you get to choose who knows.
On top of this, let the kid have a social life. Let him go out with his friends during his teen years, especially to meet new people. Otherwise, he'll either end up social or just sneak out without permission.
Open a savings account and chuck 10 or 20 in there a week. It will help them out a ton in the future.
Yes. I've started doing this, and it's thanks to my mom.